Hi guys, I want to take you through your classwork. I'm going to work the problem. I've worked the problem already and I'm going to narrate you through it. So sorry if that's a little bit, it looks like I'm going a little crazy as I do this. The worked problem that I've done will be on OneNote. It will be just below where you guys would have gotten the work from originally. Okay, the name of the game in paper 3 is Don't Make Simple Mistakes. So write everything down, don't skip steps, etc. Remember when we solve for equilibrium, we're saying at the same price, quantity demanded is equal to quantity supplied. So I'm going to set up simultaneous equations, substitute quantity demand equation and the quantity supply equation, solve for P. I'm then taking P, putting it back into the original formulas, and solving for quantity demanded and supplied to show that at the same price 3, 20 is equal to 20. Okay, now I'm just going to graph the two lines. And remember, for demand, I need 2 points. So I'm going to use the A variable and equilibrium. For supply, I'm going to use the y-intercept and equilibrium. Remember, the y-intercept is where quantity is 0. What's the price? That's why I substituted 0 and then solved for P, 1. Okay, the thing to keep in mind here, slow and steady, and use all the space that you can use. Don't try to cram everything into one spot. Okay, keep in mind that they will often give you a different unit like thousands, and you need to express that. I sped this up 4 times, that's why it looks like I'm going crazy. There's my A variable 35. Now I'm putting in the equilibrium and labeling it P star and Q star. Here's my y-intercept. I'm going to be real careful to make sure I line this up exactly. You see, one thing to keep in mind as you do this is you should always be checking. So what I'm doing now is just looking at the rise and the run and confirming that it matches up with my D variable for supply. So we've got 20 and then up to, so it's run over rise, so 20 over 2 is 10, and that is the C variable of the formula negative 10 plus NP. Okay, you'll see me do the same thing with demand, labeling along the way. You'll see me check run and rise a couple times just to make sure that it's lining up with, for demand, my B variable. Adjust supply one more time here because it wasn't quite right. Dots to show exactly what I'm pointing at, and now I'm just going to go check and make sure I did everything in part B. And it looks like I did. Part C, I don't actually read the instructions very well, and I end up starting to do something that I don't need to do. All I need to do here is substitute 6 into both formula, which I'm doing now, and determine whether that's excess supply or excess demand. Right now I'm thinking I have to graph it, so I'm making copies so I can graph it. The instructions don't actually ask me to, so I wasted a little time here. And then I figure it out right now. So all I need to do is calculate and determine, which isn't the same as graph. Okay, so excess supply of 50 minus 5 is 45. Now we're going to do for price 2, substituting 2 into the demand function and the supply function. And we're going to have excess demand of 25 minus 10, so 15. Circle my answers, good to go, check that I did everything, move on. Okay, again for D here, I end up doing a little bit too much. I didn't read part G, which talks about price signaling and incentives. So I actually do it here as well. You don't need to talk about it twice. So all I really need to do is say, why does excess supply end up at equilibrium? Well, the surplus is going to cause competition among suppliers. That's going to lower the price until there's no more competition. That's 2 points. The only 2 points I really need to say for excess supply. Remember, it's a 4-mark question. Then I need to do the same thing for excess demand, say 2 points, and 2 points for excess supply and 2 points for excess demand equals 4. So everything I'm doing here with price signals and incentives is too much. Not that it's wrong, but again, the opportunity cost is I'm going to make myself rush later on. Okay, now that we have part D done, we'll move on to part E. Part E, And we've been told, so I need the supply function, I'm writing it down again, and we've been told that 15,000 fewer. Now in this case it's only 15, because remember, everything's expressed in thousands. So I simplify that, I put the negative 15 in and simplify it. Now I need to go put it onto my graph. Notice I can do this by finding any point and just moving 3 to the left, because I've set up my x-axis to be 5,000 each. I don't actually have to calculate it yet. Okay, I've got my new line, label S1, S2, draw an arrow, remember horizontal, P star 2, it's a new equilibrium, and Q star 2. Remember, if you put a 2 in, you need to go make the other one 1. And I put in my dots to make sure. Okay, part F, it wants me to put it on the graph, and it wants me to show it via calculation. So I need to show the same thing I just graphed via calculation. I take my new supply formula that I solved for, and I put it up with the original demand formula, and I solve for equilibrium just like I did before. I'm going to find P star 2 first, and I make a little mistake here. Okay, don't go too fast. I put a 5 instead of a 15. Be careful. Caught that because I connected that with my graph, and I knew that wasn't right. Okay, so now we've got an equilibrium point of 15 and 15, which agrees with what my graph says, so now I know I'm in good shape. Okay, almost done. Now we just need to do part G. I'm going to erase that other graph I did here because often when I do a longer explanation like G, I want the graph to be right there next to me so I can make a good specific reference to it. Okay, note here that it's only going to ask you about what's going to happen as a result of the shift of supply that you just made. So we only need to talk about signaling an incentive in a decrease in supply. So we need to ask the question, where were we? Well, we were at P star 1, which is there and there. But now we're at P star 2, which means if price is still at P star 1, well then we need to look there first. P star 1 is less than P star 2, so what are we going to have? Well, we're going to have, there's our quantity demanded, there's our quantity supplied. Quantity demanded is greater than quantity supplied, we have excess demand. Then we need to just figure out what our signaling and incentives are going to be in this situation. So what we're going to see is competition amongst demanders, and that's going to drive price up. And they're going to say, hey, suppliers, you need to allocate more of your factors of production to produce this, and we'll allocate more of our factors of production to buy it. Suppliers are motivated by profit, by revenue. So as the price goes up, their profit and revenue is likely to go up. And importantly, the opportunity cost of producing other goods is going to also go up. So if I'm making something else instead of product Z, the opportunity cost of making that other thing goes up. Okay, let's make sure that we address the demanders as well. So as the price increases for demanders, quantity demand will decrease because again, the opportunity cost, because of the substitution effect, the opportunity cost of buying product Z is now increasing. So I might start to buy other things instead of product. So that's it. I easily got a 7 there by following all the steps and being methodical.